Anorexia Nervosa. You eat less, then even less, then barely at all, and still the mirror whispers, not enough. You're still too fat. That's anorexia nervosa, a mental illness dressed up like self-control, when really, it's control controlling you. It doesn't start with the diet, it starts with a thought. Maybe I'd be happier if I just lost a little weight. But that thought grows teeth. And soon every meal feels like a test, and every calorie leaves you feeling extremely guilty and worthless. Because your brain starts tying food to value. Ate too much? You're weak. Skipped dinner? You're strong. Lost weight? Congrats, you're finally enough. For now. But it's a moving goalpost. The number always needs to be lower, and no matter how far you go, it says you haven't gone far enough. What's worse is that even compliments become poison. When someone tells you you've lost weight, instead of finally feeling better, it just feeds the illness. So you pursue more weight loss, and this automatically makes it harder to stop. Because if skinnier equals better, then stopping must mean failing, right? Anorexia nervosa isn't about being skinny. It's about being stuck in a mindset that tells you you're only worth something if you shrink yourself. Bulimia Nervosa. After enjoying a meal, you start to panic. So you try to undo it by throwing up, taking laxatives, over-exercising, or skipping the next 5 meals. That's bulimia. A cycle of binging and purging, fueled by shame, control, and the quiet war in your head over food, body, and worth. It's not about being greedy or vain, but about feeling like food controls you, so you fight back in secret. You eat more than you meant to, not because you're weak, but because it numbs something. Then guilt crashes in, so you fix it any way you can, and that part is called the purge. But here's the trap. It never fixes it. Not for real. You might feel a flicker of relief like hitting undo on a mistake, but then comes the shame, the regret, the promise that next time you'll do better, and the cycle starts again. On the outside, everything can look fine. Bulimia hides. People with it often have average or even healthy weights. They might laugh at lunch, post selfies, and go to the gym. No one suspects a thing. That's why it's dangerous. Soon enough, it starts to take a toll on the body, teeth, heart, digestion, self-esteem, you name it. And yet, the scariest part isn't the damage, it's how normal it can start to feel. Like, this is just how you handle things. If you like our videos, then hit up that subscribe button for the real brain food. Binge eating disorder, BED. You're not just being bad, you're not cheating on your diet, and no, you don't just have no self-control. That's not a personality flaw, that's binge eating disorder. BED isn't about loving food too much. It's when eating turns into a cycle, an overwhelming urge to eat a lot, fast, often in secret, followed by a wave of guilt so heavy it could bench press your self-esteem. You tell yourself it was a one-time thing, except it happens again, and again, and again. At this point, it doesn't feel like a craving, but feels like a takeover. And the worst part is that it's not even about hunger. You're not eating because your stomach's empty. You're eating because something else is. Stress, shame, loneliness, that weird cocktail of emotions your brain serves up at 11 p.m. like, you know what would fix this? A family-sized bag of chips. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. But afterward, the regret hits. You beat yourself up, you promise, never again. Until the next emotional ambush. Then, the cycle starts over, but instead of calling it what it is, a sickness, you blame yourself instead of the disorder. As a matter of fact, binge eating disorder is the most common eating disorder, but it hides behind 1,000 excuses like, I just love food, I'm just emotional, I'm just lazy. No, you're not. You're just stuck in a loop your brain can't break on its own. It's not a lack of willpower, it's a mental health condition. And like any real disorder, it needs real support. Not diet tips from TikTok, not shame from relatives, not another Google rabbit hole on how to stop eating at night. Compassion, understanding that this isn't your fault, and treatment like therapy can go a long way. Pregorexia. You're growing a whole human inside your belly. But instead of craving pickles and naps, you're counting calories like you're training for a Victoria's Secret runway show. Unfortunately, that's not Fitspo, but an eating disorder called pregorexia. It's basically a condition where someone tries to stay unhealthily thin during pregnancy. Now, your brain might whisper, well, she's just trying to be healthy for the baby. Cute, but no, that's diet culture wearing a baby bump. Pregorexia isn't about health, it's about fear. Fear of gaining weight, fear of losing control, fear of what 9 months of changes will do to your identity. So instead of nourishing a baby, people restrict food, over-exercise, and obsess over the scale like it's a morality scoreboard. And here's where it gets even messier. Society low-key claps for it. Wow, you're all bumped, no fat. Well, you look amazing for being 8 months in. Translation, you're barely surviving, but at least you stayed skinny, queen. Doctors warn about it. Nutritionists stress about it. But Instagram gives you glowing flat belly maternity shoots with green smoothies and thigh gaps. Scroll long enough and it stops looking dangerous. It starts looking aspirational. Pregorexia hides under layers of wellness and discipline. But here's the truth. Your body is supposed to change. That's the assignment. You're literally engineering a person. And no, doing crunches while living off carrot sticks won't make your baby come out more photogenic. Rumination disorder. You eat a meal, you feel full. And then, surprise, your food comes back up. Not because you're sick, not because of food poisoning, but because your body decided to casually uneat it. That's literally rumination disorder, and it's a condition where recently swallowed food gets regurgitated, re-chewed, and either spat out or swallowed again. Yeah, it's as gross as it sounds. Now understand that this isn't vomiting, it's not even reflux. It's more like your digestive system hits undo and your brain goes, cool, let's roll with it. No nausea, no retching, just rewind, play, repeat. And sadly, for people dealing with this, it can happen every single meal. Like a very unfortunate TikTok loop, but in real life and with food. But here's the thing, most times it's not always about the stomach. Sometimes it's tied to stress, anxiety, or other mental health issues. Your body develops this habit and then just keeps doing it, like biting your nails, except instead of short nails, you've got a second look at your lunch. It shows up most in infants and people with intellectual disabilities, but it can affect anyone. And because it's not super well known, people don't always get diagnosed. They just think they've got weird digestion, or worse, get misdiagnosed with bulimia or acid reflux. Orthorexia Nervosa. You start eating clean. You cut out sugar, then gluten, then dairy, then anything that wasn't grown on a mountaintop by a monk named Greg. At some point, you're not choosing your meals are choosing you. That's Orthorexia Nervosa, and here's the gist. It's not about trying to be skinny, it's about trying to be pure. Healthy eating that quietly morphs into a full-time obsession. Your salad isn't just a salad anymore, it's a moral statement. And God forbid someone offers you a cookie, that's basically a hate crime now. It starts off with good intentions. You want to feel better, live longer, maybe finally figure out what chia seeds actually do. But then it spirals. Every meal becomes a test. Every ingredient gets interrogated like it's on trial for treason. Where were you the night this granola was processed? The scariest part about this disorder is that people praise it. They call you disciplined. Goals, #wellness. No one sees the panic when the restaurants can't make it without oil. No one sees you Googling ingredients like a human lie detector. You're not healthy, you're terrified. And because orthorexia isn't as well known, it slips through the cracks. It hides under the label of healthy, but it's not healthy if it's ruining your life. It's not self-care if it feels like punishment in a smoothie bowl. Drunkorexia. You skip lunch because you're saving calories for drinks. Sounds smart, right? Well, wrong. That's not a diet hack. That's drunkorexia, and your brain is playing bartender and nutritionist badly. Drunkorexia is what happens when people restrict food intake to make room for alcohol. Eat less, drink more. It's part diet culture, part party culture, and 100% a bad idea. Because your body doesn't run on vodka sodas and vibes. It actually needs things like nutrients and balance and maybe a sandwich. But here's the thing, it feels strategic. You're managing calories, you're optimizing, you're totally in control. Until you black out at 9 p.m. crying in a Taco Bell parking lot and wondering why your hangover feels like it was designed by NASA. That's drunkorexia's trap. It disguises itself as discipline. You're telling yourself it's just being responsible with your intake, but what you're really doing is stacking a diet culture mindset on top of binge drinking. It's like putting glitter on a dumpster fire and calling it self-care. So yeah, skipping meals for drinks might sound like a life hack in the group chat, but it's not. Drunkorexia doesn't make you more fun, it just makes you more fragile, physically, emotionally, and metabolically. Eat the damn pasta, then go dance! Your future self and liver will thank you. Diabulimia. You know how some people skip insulin to lose weight? Yeah, that's not a diet hack. That's diabulimia, and it's what happens when type 1 diabetes meets an eating disorder, and they become toxic roommates. Diabulimia isn't an official medical diagnosis yet, but that doesn't make it any less real. It's when someone with type 1 diabetes deliberately underuses insulin to lose weight. Less insulin equals more glucose stays in the blood, equals the body burns fat for fuel, equals weight loss. Sounds like biology, feels like control. And actually, it's dangerous as hell. The thing is, skipping insulin messes with every system in your body. You're basically slow cooking yourself from the inside out. Organ damage, nerve damage, possible coma, all wrapped up with a side of guilt and a splash of secrecy because people with diabulimia usually know exactly how risky it is and do it anyway. Chew and spit disorder. You take a bite, chew it, taste it, and then spit it out. No swallowing, no calories, no commitment, just a short-term fling with your food. That's chew and spit disorder, a lesser-known eating behavior that feels like a loophole your brain invented at 2 a.m. It sounds clever. I mean, you still get the taste, but don't gain weight. Well, just so you know, your body isn't the only thing involved here. Your brain's in on it too, and it's not playing fair. Because while you're spitting out the food, the disorder is quietly swallowing your peace of mind. Chewing and spitting doesn't solve anything. It just trades one kind of anxiety for another. You don't feel satisfied, you feel stuck, caught in this weird cycle of craving, guilt, shame, repeat, like emotional buffering with teeth. And yeah, it's real, not just a quirk or a bad habit. It's recognized in eating disorder research, and it often shows up alongside other disordered patterns like binging, purging, or restriction. Basically, wherever food becomes the enemy, chew and spit might sneak in through the side door. What's worse is that it feels like control, like you've outsmarted hunger. But it's not control, it's a distraction wrapped in a coping mechanism dipped in denial. Meanwhile, your brain is rewiring itself to think that this is how eating works. Night eating disorder, NES. You swear you're not hungry. You had dinner, you're in bed, you're full of pasta and promises. But suddenly, it's 1:43 a.m. and you're standing in front of the fridge like it's a glowing portal to salvation. Welcome to night eating disorder, when your stomach clocks in just as the rest of you clocks out. This isn't a midnight snack situation. This is your brain going full raccoon mode after dark. With NES, you're not just eating at night, you're needing to eat at night. Like regularly. Like, I can't fall asleep unless I have a PB&J level of ritual. Simply put, it's not a craving but a pattern. A sneaky, silent loop your body runs after hours. Now, during the day, you might not eat much at all. Your appetite's basically on airplane mode. But as soon as it's nighttime, your belly opens and it's buffet time. If you're wondering why this happens, well, the short answer is that your circadian rhythm and hunger hormones are beefing. Long answer, stress, mood disorders, and even messed up sleep patterns can throw your body into a weird loop where it confuses nighttime for mealtime. It's like your brain forgot it's not a vampire. Food addiction. You're not actually hungry, but suddenly that bag of chips is half gone and your brain's convinced you that you needed this. The real question is, did you? Or are you in a dopamine romance with processed cheese dust? Well, this is called food addiction, a disorder that's not just about willpower or being bad at dieting. It's your brain doing the equivalent of drunk texting, snacks it swore it was over. See, your brain loves a reward. Sugar, salt, fat, oh, that combo lights up your brain like a Christmas tree. And every time you cave, your brain takes notes. Oh, we're sad? Cool, grab ice cream. Feeling bored? Here, have an entire pizza. You don't even have to be hungry, just slightly emotionally inconvenienced. The worst part? The more you give in, the harder it gets to say no the next time. It's not just a habit, it's literal rewiring. Your brain builds a fast lane from feeling anything to eating something. That's why you can't just snap out of it. You're not weak. You're looped into a reward system that evolved to keep cavemen alive. And now it's using that energy to make you inhale Oreos after a tough Zoom call. So soon, your fridge is your therapist and your pantry's a coping mechanism. Food addiction isn't you being out of control. It's your brain following a very well-worn path built by emotion, repetition, and a marketing budget bigger than most countries' GDP. And this is the evaluator just saying that if you do believe that you are struggling with one of these eating disorders, if at all possible, I would recommend therapy. And I'm not just saying that, I am speaking from experience with eating disorders. So please, take care of yourself.